The word heat wave doesn't really trigger horror in us. In India, we're used to hot summers, we're used to extremely hot temperatures, but this year it's different, especially in parts of India's north and especially within that in the national capital region. A severe heat wave of a kind never seen before has engulfed Delhi, with temperatures peaking at over 45 degrees as of Monday. And there is nothing normal about it, as I will demonstrate on today's show. According to the Indian Met Department's Safdarjung Observatory Centre, the Weather Office has forecast some relief that may come after another 48 hours, but Delhi remains under what is called a red alert through Tuesday, with temperatures expected to be once again in excess of 45 degrees Celsius. The heat index, or the feels-like temperature in Delhi, has surged to 50 degrees Celsius. That's the reason why you're wondering how this inhuman heat is even possible. This was on Monday, and it is likely to remain in the range of feeling like 47 to 49 degrees for the next 48 hours. This June appears significantly hotter compared to the same period last year. Something has changed dramatically in just 1 year. In 2023, temperatures generally ranged between 37 and 41 degrees. From June 13th to June 18th, with the highest temperature recorded at 41.8 degrees last year on June 14th. In contrast, in June 2024, just 1 year later, much higher temperature ranges are being seen, with readings ranging from 40.9 to 46.5 during the same period. Let me say it very, very plainly. There is nothing normal about this. This isn't just a hot summer. This is a heat wave that indicates a much larger problem in the weather, in the climate change, and in the global climate.
India is witnessing its hottest spell since 1951. As the death toll due to the heat wave has risen, it has become a matter of concern for state governments as well as the centre. At least 15 people have died in Delhi NCR. The patients were admitted to hospitals with fever as high as 105 degrees. This is the nation's worst heat spell in 73 years. The nights are as bad as noon. It has been the most prolonged 40 degrees spell in Delhi, Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan, where minimum temperature in parts of North India is as high as 37 degrees. The power demand in Delhi has hit all-time high at 8,600 megawatts. New Delhi MP Basuri Swaraj launched a scathing attack on AAP and said that no all-party meeting has been organized over the heat wave crisis.
आईएमडी ने मार्च के महीने में ही ये बात स्पष्ट कर दी थी कि दिल्ली में भीषण गर्मी आने वाली है। इन्होंने ना तो सर्वदलीय बैठक बुलाई, ना मास्टर एक्शन प्लान बनाया, ना दिल्ली जल बोर्ड का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की रिपेयर करी। आप देख रहे होंगे दिल्ली जल बोर्ड की पाइपें चरमरा रही हैं। एक दशक से केजरीवाल सरकार दिल्ली में राज भोग रही है, सत्ता भोग रही है, लेकिन काम नहीं कर रही, केवल प्रचार प्रसार और भ्रष्टाचार।
Doctors from different parts of North India have raised the alarm over the rising death toll.
पिछले 2 दिनों में हमारे पास काफ़ी मरीज़ आए हैं, लगभग 22 मरीज़ आए हैं टोटल, जिसमें 5 मरीज़ों की मौत भी हो गई है सस्पेक्टेड हीट स्ट्रोक की वजह से। एंड जो बाकी पेशेंट्स हैं उसमें करीबन 12-13 पेशेंट्स वेंटिलेटर पे हैं, अभी भी क्रिटिकल हैं।
The Met Department has also issued a red alert. There is no respite in sight. The Met Department has predicted that the unprecedented heat will continue for another 2 days. It is not just in Delhi but also cities like Lucknow and Kanpur where temperatures are soaring. As heat wave is scorching through North India, the labour class seems to be the most affected. It's more than clear, this isn't just a hot summer. This is beyond weather and beyond anything that North India has witnessed thus far. Bureau Report, India Today.
This is a heat wave. This is not just about weather. The Indian Met Department has issued a red alert for the national capital and other parts of North India. My colleague Sneha Mordani stepped out to answer your heat wave questions out there in this heat wave. Take a look.
All right, so let's tell you a little about what exactly is a heat wave, since we hear this term more often than not nowadays. A heat wave is a condition when the temperature is above 40 degrees in plain areas, when it is above 30 degrees in hill stations. Are heat waves more common nowadays? The answer to that question is a big yes. It is very commonly seen nowadays. Are only cities affected? Certainly no. Hill stations in towns, smaller towns, very often cooler towns, are also now getting affected by heat waves. How to then reduce a heat wave? Essentially, planting more trees, more vegetation around us, and having more water bodies will in fact go a long way in controlling heat waves. What is causing it? Greenhouse gases, the emissions essentially, the carbon dioxide trapped in the atmosphere is in fact leading to heat wave-like conditions in many parts of India and the world. Weather is just killing all of us, and unless absolutely required, the advice really is that do not step out, because it could be deadly, it could make you sick, unless extremely important. So if it's important, step out. And when you do step out in the streets of many parts of northern India and also in many other parts of India, you'd see this. Nariyal pani, coconut water, bhaiya banaiye ek. Extremely hydrating. It's very, very good for health. This is something that you should be consuming. The sale of these products, essentially those that cool you, also have in fact gone up in the last few days or so. भैया कितने सारे लोग हैं जो अभी इस ये नारियल पानी मांग रहे हैं, क्या डिमांड है इसकी?
अभी तो बिक रहा है ज्यादा, लेकिन दोपहर में आदमी गर्मी की डर से निकलता नहीं है।
तो फिर कब इसको लोग आके खरीदते हैं, कितने समय में खरीदते हैं?
सुबह और शाम।
इसके दाम भी जाहिर है काफी ज्यादा बढ़ गया है। ऐसे
अभी 70 रुपए का।
70 रुपए का।
हाँ।
ये कहाँ से आता है नारियल पानी?
नारियल तो हम मंडी से लाते हैं, वैसे बेंगलोर से आता है।
ये साउथ इंडिया से, बेंगलुरु से, बैंगलोर से आता है। आप जो हैं कई सारे लोगों की तरह आप भी सड़कों पर काम करते हैं, मजबूरी है, क्या बोलना चाहेंगे इस भीषण गर्मी में?
गर्मी तो बहुत है, पर क्या करें, मजबूरी में तो काम करना ही पड़ता है।
और कैसे आप अपने आप को सेफ रखते हैं? क्या आप भी ये नारियल पानी पीते रहते हैं?
हाँ, पीते हैं, सुबह शाम
पीते हैं। जरूरी है पीना ये नारियल पानी?
पीना तो जरूरी है।
Alright, so if you're out on the streets like him, क्या नाम है आपका?
रजनीश कुमार।
रजनीश की तरह। So if you are like Rajneesh, if you are in fact forced to step out, outdoors is where your work essentially takes you, then it's important to in fact take care of yourself and certainly drink nariyal pani. This is extremely refreshing, it's hydrating, and it's super healthy, unlike those packaged food drinks or food products that you are regularly consuming. So ignore that and choose this.
But this is by no means a heat wave that's restricted to the national capital region. Other parts of the country, including the north and the east, are also equally affected. Aditya Vaibhav joins us live from Patna. Devankur Vadavan is with us live from Jaipur. Dev, quickly coming to you first. Rajasthan also famous for its brutal temperatures, but this year is really something special and not in a good way. What's it like in Rajasthan, and what is the administration doing?
Well, Shiv, this is heat wave like no other. I stepped out hardly 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And you can see my forehead sweating like how. The drops of sweats, it's so hard to bear this harsh hot weather. It's above 5 p.m. right now. This is the time when the sun becomes less harsher. But even now, it's so hard to stand still for a couple of minutes in this kind of heat. As far as the weather goes, the temperature in Jaipur, Jaisalmer, Shriganganagar, Bikaner, in all these places has been hovering around 45 degrees Celsius for the last 7 days shift. The weather department believes that at least for the next 1 day, this kind of weather condition will persist, this harsh, hot weather condition, and it's really advisable to take a lot of precautions, keep the body hydrated, as Sneha was advising, nariyal pani, chach, lassi, water. All of these products, natural products, which really can, supplement the body as far as the liquid part is concerned.
Absolutely.
Can really help and go a long way in bearing this phase out. This is a really tough phase. But, fingers crossed that this phase will not last much longer. Shiv?
Hopefully not more than the next 2 days, but, we never know. The the Indian Met Department says at least 48 more hours of this kind of extreme heat wave, but we'll have to, wait and see. The IMD has been wrong in the past. Aditya Vaibhav is also live with us from Patna. Aditya, heat wave in Patna as well. This is a phenomenon that is affecting all parts of the country. We're talking about Delhi NCR, but what's it like in Patna?
Exactly, but now we talk about Patna. Of course, Patna are actually facing the perils of increasing summer.
We have an audio glitch with Aditya. Aditya, we'll come back to you in just a moment. I think there's an audio problem. We'll fix it with him because I want to get that Patna input. But Sneha, coming to you, we just saw your report, from Delhi right now. Even those few minutes that you were standing outside must have been pretty intolerable. I can imagine people feeling dizzy standing in the sun for just a few minutes. But this is, it's taking a long time for people to understand, Sneha, that with 15 people dead, this is not about, drinking water or, taking precautions in order to cool down. This is literally about, saving your life, potentially.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely, Shiv. You rightly pointed out it was very, very difficult even for a couple of minutes to, put out those reports. Just talk to a handful of people to get a sense of how they're coping. Can well imagine those who are compelled to be out on the streets every single day, irrespective of what the temperature is, would be going through. You're right. There needs to be a longer plan. And most health experts that I've spoken with and also environment experts talk about the fact that there has to be a heat action plan now. We just can't be dismissing this as, heat wave conditions. Sometime between March and June is the usual period. In some cases, it lasts up till the first and second week of July. It just can't be that anymore. There has to be a long plan. And I have pointed out in my previous also that this includes long-term measures like ensuring there are green patches around us. These simple measures will go a long way in ensuring that the temperatures overall in a long term come down, and this continues to be a big concern that there is no larger plan. There only seems to be a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. For example, let me tell you that there is still confusion. If you ask doctors also, there aren't specific guidelines about identification of heat wave deaths in the country, and the number 15 that you're given, I completely believe is an underestimate of what the actual situation in the country is like at this point in time.
Very, very true. And that's really scary. And Sneha, since you mentioned knee-jerk reactions and, possible lack of preparedness, for various reasons, because this is something that, has caught the entire system off guard. We've got some breaking news, Sneha. I'm coming right back to you after that. Union Health Minister JP Nadda has ordered all central government hospitals and medical institutes to prioritize heat wave affected patients and their treatment. So this is a decision that's been issued by the new health minister JP Nadda. Sneha, instructions going out to the healthcare system, the government healthcare system, because like you rightly pointed out, if 15 people are confirmed dead, that number is likely to be higher and will likely rise. There are 48 hours more of this code red that has been sounded by the IMD.
Well, absolutely. And diagnosis of hypothermia, which is in fact a condition in which the body is heated up in a way that it could lead to possible death, is something that the government is instructing the doctors, all of the central government hospitals to do, identify such patients and treat them as according to protocol. A list of do's and don'ts has also been previously released by the health ministry in identifying these patients. I was telling you earlier, Shiv, that a lot of patients are talking about the fact that, a lot of family members of patients are talking about the fact that this was death due to heat wave. But the numbers aren't really reflecting the true picture. So very non-specific autopsies are indicating that perhaps or maybe is contributing to this entire situation getting underplayed a little, and that's the reason why these instructions that follow the criteria to not just treat, diagnose, but also identify victims who succumb to heat wave conditions, and then that should be clearly spelled out. And that is something that the government is constantly emphasizing on for the larger plan, for the larger picture. There has to be accurate data. Questions have been raised by environmentalists on the lack of actual data also in connection with heat wave, and this is something that the governments are in fact working on, not just the central government but also the state governments.
All right,
given that health is essentially is a state subject.
Very, very worrying, and we're going to keep an eye on this big story. That's the reason why we chose to lead with this story today at 5 p.m. because this is, as you saw with the numbers that Sneha has been reporting, this has become a life and death situation. Thanks also to Aditya. Pity we couldn't go to him on that Patna input, but also to Devankur for getting us that report from Jaipur. Now we've got breaking information coming in that the hot weather is also impacting operations at Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport. That's right, it's affecting flight operations in the national capital. A senior Civil Aviation Ministry official has told India today that flight operations have been impacted because of the high temperatures. Aircraft require lift to take off, remember thick air, and lift is affected by the density of surrounding air. Hot air is thinner than cold air or cool air, and the effects of hot air are felt most during takeoff and that initial climb when an aircraft needs lift to be generated under its wings in order to gain altitude. So the extreme heat and the extremely hot air above the runway, above the international airport, has led to a perceived impact on flight operations. This is an incredible piece of breaking news that we are bringing to you. It is impacting flight operations with possible delays of flights simply because of how hot it is. To explain it very simply, hot air is thinner than cold air and is not as thick as the kind of air required to generate lift in order for aircraft to safely take off and gain altitude. So a source in the Civil Aviation Ministry confirming that hot air and this heat wave is affecting flight operations. By now, with multiple deaths, those in and around India's capital know this isn't just another summer. And it's crucial for us to recognize that this is not normal. There's nothing normal about what's happening. Heat waves are not mere fluctuations of weather, like you heard from our reporters. They are intense periods of excessively, abnormally high temperatures lasting for days or even weeks. They arise due to a combination of factors primarily driven by climate change. Now, don't let that phrase turn you off, because this involves you and me. Human activities such as burning fossil fuels, deforestation, etc. have significantly increased greenhouse gas emissions. These gases trap heat in our atmosphere, leading to a warming planet and more frequent and severe heat waves. But that you already knew. Let me tell you about something you perhaps don't know. Delhi experiences intense heat waves primarily due to its geographical location and urbanization. In summer, high-pressure systems settle over the region, trapping warm air and preventing cooler air from dispersing. This phenomenon, coupled with the city's concrete jungle effect, or urban island effect as it's called, where concrete and asphalt on the roads absorbs and radiates heat, it hugely exacerbates temperatures. This isn't just garmi. This is something that could have very serious effects on you and your family. And that's why I'm asking you to listen to this. Let me repeat, this isn't just summer, this isn't just hot weather, it's something far worse. There's something dystopian about it. The impacts of heat waves are profound and far-reaching. High temperatures can cause heat exhaustion and heat stroke, particularly affecting the elderly, children, and those with pre-existing health conditions. In extreme cases, heat waves can be deadly, as we've seen from the body count, 15 people and counting. But heat waves also strain our infrastructure and resources. They can overload power grids, as we saw Delhi hit a record peak demand yesterday, leading to blackouts and disruptions. Agriculture suffers as crops wilt under the relentless sun. Remember, we are an agrarian economy, impacting food production and driving up prices. Water supply also becomes critical as demand rises and water resources deplete faster. When you have a botched up water supply system like the one in Delhi, there's simply nowhere to run. Economically, heat waves affect productivity and livelihoods. Delhi, with as numerous industries reliant on outdoor labor, face increased risks. With Delhi's crippling pollution levels, the national capital is cursed to have more frequent and more intense heat waves. Beyond immediate impacts, heat waves exacerbate existing inequalities. And this is there everywhere to see in the national capital. Vulnerable communities, the poor, often lacking access to air conditioning or adequate healthcare, bear the brunt of these extreme temperatures. Social disparities are magnified as those with fewer resources struggle to cope with the heat. Don't let anyone tell you that people on the road are used to the heat. People in slums are used to the heat, so they are not affected by it. They don't feel it. They feel it. They are affected by it, and this is a threat to them as well. Just look at the people who've died. The environment also suffers during heat waves. Ecosystems are stressed, leading to wildfires like we've seen in Uttarakhand and elsewhere that devastate forests and homes alike. Marine life suffers as oceans become warmer, impacting coral reefs and fisheries. Biodiversity loss accelerates, threatening the delicate balance of our natural world. So believe me when I say that heat waves of the kind we're experiencing right now, especially in the national capital, as you wipe away your sweat, are not just about discomfort during a hot summer. It's about our health, our economy, our communities, and our planet. Addressing climate change and reducing greenhouse gas emissions are critical steps in mitigating the frequency and severity of heat waves. As individuals and as a global community, we must take action to protect ourselves and future generations from the escalating threat of heat waves. Thank you for listening. And right when this heat wave is crippling the national capital and parts of North India, Delhi is also coincidentally, but not disconnectedly, staring at a huge water crisis, which has been on for a while, but has been hugely amplified thanks to this heat wave. Even as Delhi reels under this huge water shortage, a war of words has erupted between Delhi and Haryana. Delhi accuses Haryana of not releasing the water that is owed to it. Haryana says Delhi is simply putting politics above the people.
अगर दिल्ली में 28 लाख से ज़्यादा लोग इस तरह बूंद बूंद पानी के लिए तरसते रहे, तो फिर 21 तारीख से मुझे पानी के लिए सत्याग्रह शुरू करना पड़ेगा, मजबूरी में करना पड़ेगा, और मैं 21 तारीख से अनिश्चितकालीन अनशन पर बैठूंगी जब तक दिल्ली वालों को उनके हक का पानी नहीं मिल जाता।
सर्वोच्च न्यायालय में आप देखेंगे उनके समक्ष केजरीवाल सरकार ने याचिका दायर करी थी, वहां पर यह बात स्पष्ट हो गई। हिमाचल ने बोल दिया कि आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार झूठ बोल रही है, उनके पास कोई सरप्लस पानी नहीं है। हरियाणा जो अग्रीमेंट है 720 यूनिट का, उससे कहीं ज्यादा 1050 क्यूसेक पानी छोड़ रहा है, यानी पर्याप्त पानी छोड़ रहा है। पर आप जानते हैं कि दिल्ली में प्रोसेसिंग पावर पानी की केवल 990 एनजीडी है। तो मैं पूछना चाहती हूँ माननीय मंत्री आतिशी जी से, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी फटकार लगाते हुए आपसे पूछा था कि आपकी सरकार इलीगल टैंकर माफिया के ऑपरेशन को रोकने के लिए क्या कर रही है? कुछ नहीं। आपकी सरकार वाटर वेस्टेज को रोकने के लिए क्या कर रही है? कुछ नहीं। और जब आपकी प्रोसेसिंग पावर केवल 990 यूनिट है और हरियाणा पर्याप्त पानी छोड़ रहा है, तो ज्यादा पानी आप किसके लिए मांग रही हैं? इलीगल टैंकर माफिया के लिए।
Amit Bharadwaj is live with us from Delhi. Amit, beyond the blame game between Delhi and Haryana, which is something we see every year, what people are really interested in knowing is whether there is a solution in sight. The daily sight of water tankers being mobbed by desperate locals in different parts of Delhi, has become truly an international headline. Can you give us any sense of whether something real is being done on the ground to sort this out?
Shiv, if you look at the entire problem that the Delhi is facing right now, it's about shortage of water that is coming to the national capital. At least that's what the government has been speaking about. And they are also referring to numbers, Instead of referring to the political blame game, we will also have to look at the picture. There are only two solutions that Delhi can look at or hope for. Number one is that the water which is coming from Himachal and reaching the Delhi, that water is equivalent to what Delhi needs right now, which is nearly 150 mgd. Right now, if we go by the numbers, the production of Delhi water has actually gotten reduced further. The Delhi government is saying that it has gone down by nearly 100 mgd, which means more problem for the Delhi walas. The second relief is actually praying to the gods that rainfall comes and automatically the water flow in the rivers will increase, which will mean more water coming down to the national capital. But that is not happening anytime soon, which means that the state governments of Himachal, Haryana and Delhi will have to sit together and they will have to come to a amicable solution so that the water which is needed by the national capital is actually given. It remains a fact, Shiv, that the water production in the national capital has gone down. 100 mgd looks like a even scarier number right now, which means that nearly 25 to 28 lakh residents of Delhi are getting affected because of this situation.
Okay, Amit, thanks very much for that, because locals and citizens in Delhi and different parts affected by this water crisis are tired of bickering netas and finger pointing. They want a solution, they want accountability, and Amit and his team will continue to ask the big questions and continue to get you updates on that developing story. The heat wave that has riven different parts of North India is having really ghastly effects in some places. In an alarming incident, dozens of bats have died simply because of the heat wave. This is in Uttar Pradesh's Kanpur. The carcasses of bats in large numbers were found either hanging on trees or fallen to the ground. Locals say that they encountered these fruit bats falling from the trees, writhing in pain on the ground before simply succumbing to the heat. Remember, bats are a very, very crucial part of the delicate balance of nature. They eat fruits, they disseminate seeds, they are part of the propagation of many trees and plants. So for bats to die in this manner is a very, very alarming thing, and another telling reminder of how this isn't just another hot summer, this is climate change.